Welcome back to the channel. Following on from the last episode, continuing on with the XL1000 Varadero. I'm still staying on the rear cylinder. Today I need to set the timing mark to the rear cylinder so that the timing is lined up, so then I can take out the rear cylinder. The carburetors have got to come out as well. So in a second we'll actually spin the bike round. There's two caps on the side of the bike which I'll show you. One so you can actually turn the crank, and the other has got the actual timing marks on. Now the timing marks on these is FT for front, top dead centre, and RT for rear, top dead centre. So as I say, we'll crack into that in a minute. I've scratched my head, I've picked my brains, I've just gone through as much as I can physically go through on this in my head off camera, trying to work out what the possible solution for this is and what the problem is. It's just beyond me, this one. It's really confusing. But as I say, we're going to start off setting the timing for the rear cylinder, and then we can take out the actual cam carriers, cams, and then start working our way down. For the rear cylinder to come out, obviously the carbs have got to come out. I'm still trying to look, because I haven't drained the coolant as yet. I prefer not to, but if I have to, then I'm trying to see where the connections go in for the cylinder. I think they're right where the join line is of the actual cylinder head to the actual base. I think it's just above, it's actually on the cylinder. Tried having a look on the feast pictures, it doesn't really show it that well. That's actually the picture for the rear cylinder. I can't actually see where the actual in is. I think it may be that section there, just underneath where the carb rubber sits, which if it is, yes, so the coolant's got to be drained. But first of all, as I say, we'll spin the bike round and then set up the timing for the rear cylinder. Right, so I've spun the bike round. Need to remove this cap here and this cap here. That will allow me access to the bolt to actually turn the crank, and that will give me the timing marks. Right, I don't know if you can see in there, there's actually a line just there. That probably shows you better. So underneath this cap, that piece of block which is there, and that's what we need to line it up to, and you'll see the mark RT. So I just need to remove this cap and this cap. Right, that's the first one. That's the second one. That allows me access to the main bolt, and that gives me access to actual timing marks. So I just need to move that round now till it reaches RT. Right, not sure if you can actually see, but there's the RT line, and there's the line on the side of the casing. So that is in the right place. the other check I can do is I'll pull the spark plug and I'll see it from there as well, but that should be top dead center on the rear cylinder. Right, so I've aligned the RT mark on the timing, which aligns the RI, and you can just about see the RE facing away from each other. First time I did it, they were facing towards each other, so you have to go another cycle. Now they face away from each other, so this is now top dead center. So I'm going to pull the spark plug anyway, and then we'll start removing these caps. Yeah, it did take a few turns to actually get that in the right place, lined up with the RT mark. I did actually double check with the manual. Yeah, they should be facing away from each other. It says that if the sprocket marks are facing towards each other, rotate the engine anti-clockwise one full turn until the RT mark again lines with the static timing mark, which it now does, and the sprocket marks will now be facing away from each other, and the rear cylinder is at top dead center on the compression stroke. And as I say, that's one is there, and the other one you just can't see it yet, but it is lined up. So I'll pull the spark plug and then we'll take these caps off. Alright, so I'm going to start off taking this bolt out that holds the actual cushion across the top of the cam chain, and then the two bolts behind. Obviously being careful, because I do not want to drop this bolt into the engine. Right, I'm going to stick a piece of rag down there just in case. Right, so that's one. And this is the second one. And there's the RE mark. So that's the exhaust camshaft out. Again, not seeing any visible signs. Well, again, nothing visible. I may need to pull that head off completely. The only other thing I'm thinking is actually I'm going to have to drain the coolant, because that coolant actually goes into the head of the engine. So I'm going to remove the crash bars, and I'm going to take off this side fairing. So then get all this drained. I may even go in through the clutch and see if there's anything I can see at the bottom of the clutch before removing the head, and then the head will come off. Right, so I've removed the side engine bar and undid the bolts for the side fairing panel that sits here, and I've also drained all the coolant. So I'm actually going to just loosen off these bolts for the radiator so I can pull the coolant bottle out of the way, and then we'll take off the clutch cover. I just want to have a look and see if I can see anything from this side before removing the carbs and then going in and removing the rear cylinder. So next job, unbolt the clutch. Well, clutch cover. Right, so coolant bottle's out of the way. I've removed the radiator out of the way as well. Just put the bolts back in where they came from. So the next thing to do is undo all these bolts all the way around. They're 8mm. I'm not going to bore you with undoing loads and loads of bolts. I'm going to try and keep them in situ as possible. Just loosen them off and then hopefully pull the casing off. Get the water pump out of the way. And join me again when I'm just about to pull the casing off. Right, so water pump bolts are all loose. Or the water pump cover, I should say. Go. Right, now for the actual clutch cover. Like I say, there's quite a few bolts all the way around, all of them 8mm. So I'll bring you back just as I'm finishing off the last one, ready to pull the case.